Content Catchup.
On Friends and Enemies, episode 3, Julian. We're back. We're back again. How are
Back
you?
again.
Talk to me.
I'm well, Michael. Friends, enemies, anyone else? It's good to be back. I've been on the road again, and it's my fault that we haven't recorded. So I've got to preface anything with that. Had an enjoyable trip to the land of the king. Now, our
Land of the King, yes.
Land of the King.
Yourself. I assume that's who you're referring to.
Yes, I just went down to Coburg Central for 2 weeks. But no.
Well, King Julian, actually, that little
King
what's that
Julian?
animal off Madagascar?
Yeah, I think it's
Great
a lemur
character.
or something.
Yes, yeah, something like that. Off topic.
Anyway, went down there, or up there rather, for a wedding. Got to see a few friends that I hadn't seen in a long time, and yeah, it was a good little trip.
Yeah. Any I know your last trip, Julian. Sorry for cutting you off. You had a little we went through a few dot points, but just quick ones. Any learnings from the trip? Any lowlights, highlights?
Lowlights would definitely be traveling 36 hours just to get to one place. That's a huge lowlight. Highlights, definitely the wedding. Wedding was a lot of fun. And also my trip to Ireland. I got to see two friends that I hadn't seen in like 10 years and spend a couple of days with them.
Nice.
So that was sweet. Learnings, I went to my first ever EPL game.
How was it?
It was an experience. So we went to West Ham v Fulham, I think it was. I wouldn't quote me on that, at London Stadium, which is the Olympic stadium that London had built. So in East London, brilliant stadium. It's like a 60,000 seat stadium, so probably equivalent to Marvel Stadium plus a few more. But West Ham is, I don't know if you would have seen it. Your team, the Hammers, the Green
Ham.
Street Elite. Yeah. So they're...
Listeners, just to fill you in, I used to joke that I know nothing about soccer, but whenever I used to play FIFA when I was younger, West Ham, for some reason, were my squad. I think it's because they were burgundy. Their colour's burgundy, isn't it?
Yeah, burgundy and like
yeah,
blue.
Burgundy used to be my thing. But anyway, West Ham.
But they were, so they're like a rough team, I guess. They've got like a really fanatical supporter base. And so we went to like this pub beforehand, which is just like this typical West Ham pub. And it was literally like you were in someone's backyard. Like it was just like someone had opened up their courtyard and had started serving beers.
Love it.
You walk in and there's like two options of beers. There's like an Amstel or a Heineken and nothing else. And that's what you get. And then you walk around the corner and there's some guy serving chips and gravy. So you can either have chips and gravy, salt and vinegar chips, or a hamburger.
Or just gravy.
No gravy. Oh, sorry, chips and curry sauce as well. That was the other one.
I like it. Simplicity.
So you get stuck into those. And then literally it's about 5 minutes before the actual kickoff. And everyone's just like, right, time to go. And everyone just clears out. The pub starts clearing up. And if you're sitting there, they're like, no, like, fuck off. Like, go to the game. Don't hang around here anymore. You're not welcome.
So people don't sit at the pub like we do and watch the game?
No, they're gone. There's not one TV in there. They're all going to the game. Like I'm not kidding. This pub was just like in the middle of nowhere. You wouldn't go there unless you were going to the game.
Yeah, sounds like a ritual or like a routine.
I think it was, because then you walk over with everyone, and then you just all get into the game. They take their seats, and it's like kickoff happens. There's literally no one in the stadium before the kickoff starts.
Oh wow.
And like from a nerd fan engagement perspective, there's nothing. Like there's no competitions. There's no like sing along with this. There's no clap your hands here. There's like nothing. Even after the game, as soon as it's done, everyone just pisses off.
It's actually a really interesting insight, because I wonder if that contributes to the craziness of the soccer fans. Like, because there's nothing to let your energy out pre-game, and it's all just as soon as it's go, it's like, all right, we're on. Like you've got to bring all your energy to the start, and everyone's rushing to get in there. That probably adds to it.
I think it does. I think it's like, well, the ritual is that you catch up before the game, and then once it's done, it's kind of done. Like you might go to the pub and watch another game. Like there were still people in the pubs afterwards, but because it was also like Sunday at 2:00, I imagine people were just like, all right, well, that's my day.
Yeah.
Kind of finish off.
Oh well, that's interesting.
Good
I like
experience.
that. Yeah. Quick question on the wedding. Now that you've conducted, what's the right? I always forget the right word about when you're the
Celebrated?
So yeah, you celebrated a wedding. Does that mean you're real critical on this wedding? So were you looking at whoever the celebrant was and just nitpicking the absolute shit out of them?
Well, look, I think the key as a celebrant myself to attending a wedding is just realizing they're never going to be as good as you. So
okay, well, that is a really good approach to life. I think. I think that's really healthy.
I'm the pinnacle of wedding celebrants as far as I'm concerned.
Do you do that with most things? So, like, when you walk into a room, do you just stare down at everyone thinking, bloody, like, you're woeful at life compared to me, ma'am, sir?
I mean, you don't?
No, that's a you thing. We'll talk about this offline. Maybe a bit of personal development for you, I think.
I think I've developed personally better than anyone
else. What are your values?
To be honest with you.
What are your values?
Anti-humility. Yeah,
all the opposite of the mighty Carlton Blues.
Oh god. Anyway, what have you been up to?
Oh, nothing compared to that, really. No, nothing big. I just spent a few days at home because I've got a lot of tradies at my place, Jules. Plenty going on.
What are the tradies?
Roof leaks.
A little bit of roof work. Love that for you.
Yeah. Love that. And I find tradies funny. They don't tell you when they're rocking up. 7 a.m. one morning, I think I was in the shower and you just hear people hopping on top of your roof. You're like, thanks for the heads up, fellas.
I thought you were going to say hopping into the shower. I'm like, what type of tradies have you?
Yeah. That's how they entered. Nothing exciting really. Had a bit of a freelance golf shoot on Friday, as you know, which was bit of an interesting experience in the rain. I don't know if you've ever done anything in the rain like that, but it's hard to get some photos.
No, I was going to ask because we were sitting there at work talking about whether this was actually going to go ahead or not. And you were very confident that it was. And I was on the fence of whether it would happen or not.
Yeah, so it was a golf day for the friends down at Producy. A lot of you might probably know their podcast, but got a bit of a golf brand going on. I think Dill Buckley does. But it still went ahead. The original plan was to get buggies, which would have been a bit of fun, but it was too wet for the buggies because I don't know whether they were worried we'd get bogged or I know nothing about golf, so maybe they just don't use buggies when it's raining that heavily. But no, it was basically get the poncho and put a poncho around the camera because I don't have a proper sort of camera rain jacket, if you will, and put the poncho over the camera. And it was challenging. Yeah, wet kit. But I got there. I think we got some good stuff. So I haven't actually gone through it all, but it was an experience. My feet were absolutely soaked, though. Now, that is a day ruiner for a shoot. I'll tell you that much.
Now, can you imagine if you were in a buggy? You would have had to have like a in those American films, the swamp, like what are they called? Like they go racing on the swamp and they've got the big fans on the back.
Yeah. The hovercrafts with like water.
Hovercrafts, yeah. That would have been fun.
That would have been cool. Turn the shutter up on your camera, you get some good motion shots.
That's it. Tracking shots in honor of our good friend Casey.
Yeah, she actually kills them.
Loves a tracking shot. But very interesting.
Yeah,
wet weather golf.
Yeah, but we got it done, so it was a good experience.
Wonderful.
Oh, sorry.
Apart from that, everything else. Oh, wait.
I met our mate Scott Walton.
Oh, Scotty.
Season 2 maybe? Season 1? Yeah. I don't know when it was on. So
pretty early.
Highlights Club founder of Highlights Club, and I think he does some stuff for the front bar now, but he was down there, so that was good to see him.
What's he working on?
Actually, we might need to cut this. He sort of asked me to keep it on the down low.
Okay,
so
then don't
leave it
say
that we met him. Yeah. I met him. That was good.
Oh god! So like, the less editing, the better.
Yeah, thanks, Riverside.
All right. Well, maybe in the future you'll be able to tell us about that one. But for now,
I'll elaborate.
Shall we jump into some content?
Yes. Yeah, I'll go first this week. Okay. So
let me bring it up for you. Here we go.
Yeah, last week, want to talk contract announcements, Jules. So the Jack Jumpers seem to get an incredible amount of mentions on this show, whether it's good or bad. It's probably about 50-50, if we're honest. This week it's good, though. So they're one of their players, Jack McVeigh, which quick shout out to my brother Darren and Jack and Darren are doing a podcast together.
Oof.
So they started this a couple of weeks ago. It's called the Shooters Pod. Has nothing to do with this example, just in case you're wondering, Jules. But so non-basketball fans, Jack McVeigh is a player for the Tasmania Jack Jumpers, and we'll give this a play. But basically, they announced his new contract live to the crowd after the game, after a home win. And I thought it was really cool.
Let's have a look. There's a sound in later. Let's have a look, though.
Really quiet because we've got some really exciting news. Jack, you want to do it? You want us to do it? You want to do it? Who can win? Guys, Jack McVeigh gets signed at 2 years!
How good is this?
And let's be interested all right.
That's a great idea. I like this.
Yeah. So I don't think they say too much more, but you get the concept. So instead of going out, and this is what I want to talk to you about, I think sometimes with contract extensions and positive news in clubland, we think about too much how it looks on social media as opposed to maybe getting a creativity to a physical, like physical creativity, I guess, like how we're going to do it in person, how we're going to give back to the fans. So they've basically, and I think Jack actually talked about this on the podcast. I just talked about his podcast, that the reason they did this, bit of inside scoop, thank you, Darren Barker, brother, bit of inside scoop, that the reason they did this is because at halftime, someone in the locker room said that the news had been leaked. So someone went out on Twitter or whatever that he signed a contract extension. So I think basically they decided, okay, this is our home game. If we win this, why don't we announce it to the crowd? Because only a certain amount of people know. And just the reaction of it, like, it's such a good idea to give back to the fans of like, this is you, this is your positive news. They all go nuts. They start chanting Jack, I think. I just think it's unreal.
I think also after a win, like everyone's already such high energy. Like, why wouldn't you take advantage of it? It's like immediate social media validation, but in person. It's like,
that's what and it doesn't take any hard ideas. Like, you've got the content right here. How good is this video? You don't need to do anything special to it. But do you agree? Like, do you think we sometimes think about how good a new player contract announcement will look, how good it will look as a graphic, or how funny a video will be, or what have you?
But also, like, there's nothing stopping you from making a graphic after this if you wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
but
mean?
it's just like the announcement element of it. We probably focus too much on how it looks on social media, not what our fans like, or using our fans. Yeah.
Oh, I love this. It's like very similar to, well, they don't do it so much anymore, but like footy clubs back in the day used to sometimes save some big announcements for the best and fairest and announce it there. But this is way more accessible as well. Like, this is definitely rewarding people that come to your games, and like, I don't know, if you make a habit of it, like, it's pretty sweet.
What? One new contract extension every home win?
Week. Yeah.
Let me get people.
We win, you sign. That's it.
We win. We win. We give one of our players that we might not actually want for our future, but it's a reward.
Do you think do you think this could ever backfire? And if it's a contract extension that no one wants,
no one cheers.
Just stuff gets thrown over the fence instead.
You'd have to pick wisely with the player. You'd have to make sure that they're liked.
I would love to see an alternate take of this, like a blooper where perhaps the crowd didn't react properly and old mate had to go like, no, we need a reaction from this. Come
Just
on.
walks out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that's
really
exciting.
So good idea from the Jack Jumpers.
Love it.
Let's move on to your stuff, Jules, because I think you've got a handful of stuff to throw at me.
I do have a little bit. Let's start off with like a really quick one. Good friend of the show, Mike Corbett, has finished up at the NBL. 6 years, man. It's a long stint to kind of put in. This is just really awesome. Like it shouldn't be surprising. Shift refresh. What's his name again? Lee Olsen.
Olsen. Yeah.
Yeah. Has put this together for Mike Corbett, which I think is just a really nice acknowledgement of someone who probably has had such a big impact on the actual NBL scene and industry, and probably like changed, but also a few nods to the dunk comp over here and some few classic players. It's just a really fitting tribute, I think. And something you'd be so chuffed to see come out, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I remember Darren. So listeners, what we're looking at is a graphic design by Lee Olsen, which is basically Mike. He's like the social media, I guess, lead, or I don't know what his title was, but the whole NBL's personality, their Twitter sort of puns and their Twitter personality, I believe is basically 90% Mike. So Lee Olsen has just put like an artist impression on Mike sitting at his desk with all these relevant things surrounding him. We can put a photo up on it maybe, but what the hell was your question, Jules?
It wasn't the question. I was just, there's no question. I just thought it's a nice, like a fitting tribute to, and like I said, you'd be so chuffed if someone turned around and did this for you, especially someone of like Lee's, Lee's, like, what's the word? Status, almost. Like he's a big dog in the industry.
He's a big dog. I believe they actually might have got this printed out in one of those glass frames as well. So he has that for his home, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Good little touch. And congrats, Mike, on whatever you're doing next. I'm not too sure. Bucks, do you know?
I think he's having a spell. I think he's just had that old, bit of a burnout from the industry. But as you said, 6 years is a fair stint. So congrats to everything he's done.
No, I think, really well done. I've got two here. Let's start off with the more serious one because the other one's a bit of a piss take. So is obviously a little bit of controversy going around, and we don't have to watch this because, we haven't worked out sound on Riverside, but we'll have a listen now if you're listening.
We have learned that the decision to host the World Cup in Qatar has resulted in the suffering and in the harm of countless of our fellow workers.
These migrant workers who have suffered are not just numbers. Like the migrants that have shaped our country and our football, they possess the same courage and determination to build a better life.
As players, we fully support the rights of the LGBTI+ people. But in Qatar, people are not free to love the person that they choose.
Addressing these issues is not easy, and we do not have all the answers.
So this bit of content came out from the Socceroos earlier this week, and it's a kind of direct response to some of the controversies in this year's World Cup in Qatar. So Qatar has basically had like really terrible working conditions for a lot of its immigrant workers. And we just checked then it was something like 6,500 people have died building the stadium. And that's the documented ones. There's probably more undocumented ones. So a bit of like the international community has kind of like gone up and been like, hey, like, what the fuck? Like, you can't just treat people like this and expect it to go under the rugs. And there's been a few teams pull out of the World Cup. A lot of teams, I think there's another team who were purposely changed their uniform to black rather than have their like national colors to like show, oh, this is an event of mourning rather than like event of celebration. And the Socceroos, and I think it's important for a number of reasons because it kind of shows like why they're going to go and play. But also like an impressive standpoint from an Australian national team, because I feel like quite often they shy away from these conversations and don't often put themselves like as individuals. They might go off and do like share particular content, but to come together as a team and be like, oh no, like this is bad. And we acknowledge that this is bad. but we can use our platform at this tournament to keep talking about how bad it is, and keep bringing it to the front of attention rather than just not participate. So whether or not that's the right thing, I'm not sure, but like to have a stance and like to say something, I think is pretty. So I don't know, probably not an easy one to have thoughts on, but like, what do you think? If there's anything that pops into your mind, any opinions on this?
I probably don't have enough context, but I was just giving it a watch then, and I totally agree with what you said. And I think you articulated it very well. And from what I first looked at it, it looks like there's majority of players, or like it looks like there's not just one or two in the video, and it looks like, I could be wrong, but it looks like it's all in their own words too. Like, you know how sometimes people or teams speak up of things that are bigger than sport. Examples like this, and you can tell like they're reading off something that felt organic from a quick skim. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I think so. Like, they'd obviously have some points because it's pieced together like with different parts, but it does feel less teleprompty. And I think also because they've shot it on their own phones, like in selfie mode, like it does feel a little bit more authentic.
I think that's a very good point. And I often, like, when in our roles, or if we might see it around in other teams or other clubland where things are done on the proper camera with a proper setup, with a proper room, it's funny how that can feel a lot less. It's like the better produced stuff can feel less organic and what's the word, like less genuine than a phone video would, because that's what everyone relates to. Like, you're doing it off your own phone, you're speaking more honest and openly almost. Like, it's not like the better produced stuff almost comes across like, okay, you'll probably be being told what to say there. Yeah.
And it's not like this, you're right, there's not someone in the room going like, nah, do that again.
Yeah.
Do that again. Yeah. That's the wrong thing. So just I think if you haven't watched it, we'll put a little bit of the audio in the show, obviously, but like it goes for about 3 minutes. So have a look. Some important stuff there. And then I think it's just continual reminder that as an industry, like, we do have a responsibility to sometimes speak up. And for all those people that say sport doesn't belong, or politics don't belong in sport, or whatever it is, well, that's bullshit, because this is a body that's funded by a national government, and, you know, like, sport and politics are intertwined so closely that if you have an opinion or need to say something, you need to do it.
Yeah, particularly the national teams too. Like, the Australian teams have more responsibility, I think you could say.
Yeah. The last one, it's a bit of a piss take. So I don't know if you've been following this whole Pak Bean thing that's popped up.
No.
Okay, so this is like one of my favorite things ever, and I'm going to find the original tweet while I just have a little bit of a chat. Oh my God. So do you like Mr. Bean? That's the other question.
Mr. Bean.
Okay.
Yeah,
so early this week, Zimbabwe and Pakistan played together, right? In the 2020 World Cup. Also, shout out to Hamza, who's having the worst week of his life because Pakistan are absolutely terrible. So they've come together, and there's like a little bit of controversy, a little bit of saltiness from the two teams. I'm just going to find this one last tweet that I opened. Is it this one? Yeah. Okay, let's share the screen again, and this will hopefully give you some context as to what's going on. So this is the first one that pops up. So someone has found this on the Pakistani cricket place, right? Or their Twitter. They've gone on to the next challenge. Pretty standard tweet after you lose. And this guy from Zimbabwe has tweeted in, and he's written, "As Zimbabweans, we won't forgive you. You once gave us that fraud Pak Bean instead of Mr. Bean Rowan. We will settle the matter tomorrow. Just pray the rains will save you." So everyone's like, what the fuck is this? Like, what's going on? And the context here. So there's a little bit more, right? So someone's asked, like, what's happened, brother? And the same guy who tweeted earlier has gone, they gave us Pak Bean instead of Mr. Bean on one of our local events called Agriculture Show. Someone else. What the fuck is Pak Bean? So Pakistan have sent over a Mr. Bean impersonator called Pak Bean to this event, rather than the real Mr. Bean. So this is brilliant, right? So this guy, he's so salty on it. This is the fuck called Pak Bean who imitates Mr. Bean stealing people's money. So on the back of this,
know it's not the real Mr. Bean.
I don't know. I think they maybe got told that there was going to be a Mr. Bean and they got sent over a Pak Bean instead. So anyway, so this then leads to so Zimbabwe beat Pakistan, which is one of the biggest upsets of the tournament so far.
Yeah.
And the president of Zimbabwe, what a win for Zimbabwe. Congratulations to the Chevrons. Next time, send the real Mr. Bean. It's like a whole thing that's oh my God. And then there's this other video. So Pak Bean has actually replied to this. I'll add this in here. And you can have a listen to it. So it just builds on builds on builds. And I just think this is such stupid content, but like
that's hilarious. I want to watch the video. I'm gonna watch it.
Well, you won't get sound though. That's the only problem.
No, but I'll watch it.
Have a watch.
Like I can still hear it.
Yeah, sweet.
He's terrible. Why is he saying just one line?
I don't know if he speaks English.
Oh no. Okay.
It's just fucking ridiculous. It's just like, I don't know, man. I don't even know where this sits in the content universe, but credit to everyone for just building on this. I don't even think Pakistan and Zimbabwe care, but the people around it. I just love the guy that's that bitter, that is like, this is the fuck.
And then it's gone to the president.
It's
like
just brilliant.
Such a good Twitter example of one person making a comment, and almost like the power that Twitter has to dial in on one person's opinion and just make it go across this whole global almost.
Just blow it out of proportion. Like, it's brilliant. It was lots of the tournament so far, but anyway, that's that.
That's great for me. That's that could have been in the egg of the week, but I appreciate it.
I think it's a bit more bossy than egg. But anyway, shall we get on to that, our favourite segment here?
Good segue to egg of the week. Hey, did you know how segue is spelled? This is real boring chat. This did you know? Yeah, like the segue of conversation.
Isn't it SEGWAY?
No, SEGUE apparently.
Oh, there you go. The more you know.
Feel like, exactly. Google it if you don't believe me, listeners. I found that during the week and just fainted. I didn't really. Egg of the week. Did I put this in the eggs?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I called this an egg, but it could be a boss. So during the week, I found out that the Denver Nuggets mascot gets paid $625,000 as their annual salary.
We're in the wrong industry.
I just don't know. I don't know what to make of this, and I don't really know what to say about this, but that's amazing. That's like a boss to... Well, it's on Bleacher Report. You going to say, is it real?
No, like, is it justified? Like, how much do we know about Rocky? Is he a good mascot?
Well, maybe I could do a bit of a deep dive. Well, I don't care how good a mascot you are, though. $625,000. There'd be that many people that do much more important jobs than a mascot. Not taking anything away from it, but like, come on.
Where do we think that? Where do we think that Benny the Bull sits on the scale? Because he was like, the Bull is pretty. Well, he'd be pretty good.
Yeah, iconic. He'd be. Yeah. You'd have to guess if we were to guess one. He'd have to be the most iconic mascot.
Yeah, industry-wide walkout maybe for all mascots who are not getting paid $625,000 a year.
And so listeners, just for reference, it says that Rocky makes roughly 10 times the average salary of an NBA mascot, which is $60K a year. So maybe I need to do a bit more of a dig because I can't comprehend why he'd earn that much more. But I put it in egg because I just thought it was an unbelievable stat. But boss to Rocky, so a bit of a crossover.
I've got a potential question on this, and perhaps this is why the salary is so high. Is it like, is Rocky more than one person and that 625 is shared across like 6 people?
Oh, that'd be a sneaky way of wording it. I don't know. I think it's definitely misleading though. I wouldn't be appreciative of that.
Because like 625 is also going to be more than some basketball players get paid.
Well, no, in the NBA. Yeah, I mean,
not in the NBA, like a G League player or something.
Yeah. How insulting is that? Anyway, maybe I'll come back to you next week with why. I'll give you a dot point of what his roles are.
Yeah,
their roles are.
Can you give me some like an itemized list of what the expenses are as well?
What do you
for tax purposes?
What do you think Rocky's to-do list looks like? Day to day. I don't know, day-to-day Rocky's tasks.
Throw massive popcorn at someone, tick.
No, but like not game day. I want to know
Backflip.
like that's a full-time salary. Like it's not game day every day. What does he do during the week? How does he prep for a game?
Stretch.
How does he get better?
I don't know.
Professional
That's
development.
So cool. That's cool. I'm going to go fucking learn how to do a backflip and become a manager.
Get paid $625K. Anyway, you don't have an egg. Do you?
I've got a small one. Let me see if I can reshare the right screen. Window. Yeah. This is just a quick one. It's just pretty stupid, to be honest. Like, I noticed this poster in my gym. And I just thought, like, oh, let's see if we can do this properly. No? Okay. So they've clearly gone and got this post made up. It's just something that, for those listening at home, that says, like, refer a friend and receive 2 weeks free. Pretty standard, right? But because it's a Snap Fitness, it's probably like a template that you have to go in and you like fill in your details down the bottom for the club. They've just like gone Snap Fitness Coburg, phone number, and then where they're supposed to put website, they've just written website.
Small one for me, but definitely worthwhile.
It's very small, but like this is on 4 different posters in the gym. Like, it'd just be better.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
it's not massive. It's just something I noticed.
That's all right.
All right. On the other side of this, let's go to the boss.
Boss, you kick us off.
You are. Oh, okay. I'll kick us off.
No, you do it.
All right. Here we go. So, saw this pop up, and Bucks, you might be able to tell me the teams here. This looks like purple. Is that Sydney Kings?
Sydney Kings and Cairns Taipans.
All right, Cairns Taipans. So we're in the NBL again. We don't need sound for this one, but we've got some court line footage of one of their players inbounding the ball, buzzer beater for a 3, and Sydney Kings win. Great footage, pretty cool. But then we scroll along as this video goes, and I just want you to have a look at this guy in the black here, a little court assistant who is just trolling the Cairns Taipans, waving at them, waving goodbye. I'll play it through, but now you know where he is. Just watch through.
Look at the sass. Yeah, that's a strong wave.
That's a goodbye.
Yeah,
thanks for coming. We'll see you later. I'm bossing him. I think that's just, I don't know. I'd expect to see that in American sports. I just would not expect to see that courtside NBL.
From a floor
here he is again. See ya.
That's it's such a good point. And if a player did do that, it'd be great, but you'd probably be people with their tall poppy syndrome. Like, oh, that's
they'll be like, I can't believe you do that.
But for a floor wiper, that's acceptable.
Ice cold,
nice.
waving bye-bye.
He's made it in the comments.
Very good. Yeah.
Good on him.
That's my boss. I'll rate it.
Nice.
Let's open up yours.
Like
what have you got?
This is, you could probably just put a snippet of this, but Steve Ballmer this was a few weeks ago, preseason game. So the NBA season has actually started, but this was a preseason game for the Clippers. Now the Clippers owner is Steve Ballmer, I don't know how you pronounce it, but is he the founder of Microsoft or something? He was the CEO of Microsoft, something like that. But But he bought the Clippers years ago, and his energy, just watch like the first 20 seconds by yourself, Jules. His energy is just unmatched. It's unbelievable. Like, he's literally screaming at the top of his lungs, and he does this. This is like an introduction to the Seattle crowd. Put the audio over the top, but I love him. Everything he does is amazing.
I am so excited.
I am so excited to have a game in my hometown of Seattle, Washington. I am so excited to see Climate Pledge Arena, this fantastic building, light up tonight. I'm so excited that we're playing the Portland Trailblazers.
Especially from such a big dog position to have that sort of, like, he's almost a mascot of the Clippers in my eyes. Like, the way he carries on is just so good. And people
That's
love it.
huge.
I'm just wanted to boss him.
I rate that. Can you imagine if that happened at Carlton? Like Luke says, just like...
Could you imagine, like, at a... Yeah, that's true. Could you imagine, like, at a, if he brings that energy into, like, every day, though? Like, how draining that would be.
Oh,
like,
God.
Morning, Carlton!
Dinner time. I'm so excited for this pasta!
Schnitzel.
Oh, God.
Yeah, maybe he does. You couldn't keep that up there.
Rest in peace to his poor family.
Oh, they probably appreciate it. All right, good segment. I don't know if we're going to end on the name of it, but I've called it the controversial call. You happy with that?
I think it's the content-troversial.
Controversial call. So you can go first, or you can go after me, Jules, but we actually had a bit of fan input this week to, firstly, our old mate Edwin, who we haven't mentioned for a while, but he asked you, so... your first controversial call, you made a statement that you think all game day graphics from clubs are starting to look the same. And he sort of responded to us saying, do we think the fans even care that they look similar, though?
Nah.
What do you think?
No, I don't. Yeah. And I think this is one of the things we've spoken about before. It's like, I actually had a chat to our graphic designer about something like this because they came and they showed us some of the Lakers examples on the story. About like how they're really well graphically produced and they like design every story that they put up on a game day. And they're like, oh, is this something we want to do? And I said, look, it's a nice thought, really. Like, but who are the fans like looking through and going like, oh, that's really nicely designed? Or are they going like, I just want to see the players? And I think it's a similar point to this. It's like, our fans aren't sitting there going through 18 other clubs like graphics and going like, oh, like they all look the same. It's definitely just an industry thing for sure. Do you think differently?
I totally agree. So we're not going to fight about this. Yeah. Maybe it would have been fun to invite Edwin on as a guest spot because I hope he would argue with us. He does
just
like
fight with us every week. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we could bring him on. Like, I don't care if he agrees with us. Like, his job is to come on and disagree with us. So just passionately argue the other way. That'd be fun.
Yeah, why don't we?
No, I agree with you. I think our Carlton team, has probably learnt this as we've gone as well. Like, you can definitely over template things. Like, it's not. We might think it looks cool, but it's probably smart putting your time elsewhere. That's not to say you can sort of make things look clean and consistent, but it is probably just a line of how much time to spend on that.
Yeah, I agree. Like it is, where are you spending your time and is it valuable?
Yeah.
All right, what's this next one you've got for us?
So Bradley Holt has written in, I think he's sent in a few things. But this one, he just wanted us to talk about, I think we actually mentioned this during the week. So during the off season, he wants, I'll sort of read out his message here, but he basically is bringing up clubs and players showing themselves in the off season in the gym. So he's sort of putting quotation marks when the players in the gym during their off season are putting up posts saying always working or starting early. And his sort of point to that is like, if they aren't traveling, what else are they actually going to do while their partners and mates are at their 9-to-5 jobs? And I think what he's trying to say is, I think he's saying it's going to set a good first impression when players meet them. I think he's actually complimenting it, but I think he's probably trying to get us to talk about what we think of those off-season gym posts, which we've done a couple. Carlton have done a couple recently, but I will. My first comment to this is obviously they've got other interests and hobbies outside of their jobs, like everyone else. Just because they're footy players and athletes, they're obviously going to be doing other things. But I don't mind the off-season post. I wouldn't post the same thing over and over again, but I have heard people go the other way of saying, well, of course, like it's their jobs to sort of maintain fitness, which is a good
point.
Yeah.
I think this also leads into one of Edwin's other tweets the other day, which we could fight about. I somewhat agree with
this segment can call Edwin's tweets.
That's what Edwin tweeted this week that we can argue about. Grids. Look,
every day.
I think Brad's got a point here. It's like their job is to stay fit, right? Like, so if they aren't traveling or doing something else, what else would they be doing? Like, I don't know. It is a bit unnecessary. However, on the other side, fans fucking froth it. They just love seeing.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
If you're talking about what you're trying to do or who you're trying to appeal to, fans love seeing. I don't think they could get sick of people seeing their players in at the club when they're not technically supposed to be, or when it's not their time there.
Which is, it's one of the hardest things to comprehend, right? Because it's like every player does it, and everyone knows that. It's that early excitement of like, oh, we're ahead of the rest. Like, look at us, we're doing stuff that the other teams aren't doing. It's easy wins. Like, it's easy wins for a content team. Like, I think there's more reason to do it than to not. Which brings me to my other point and my other fucking beef I've got with Edwin. The birthday posts.
No, I agree with him, but
you're both idiots. You're absolutely stupid. Okay.
You can stop sharing the screen, by the way, if you just want to see our beautiful faces.
Yeah, that's so true. Here's my point, and I agree. Birthday graphics and birthday posts are fucking stupid. Like, you know what? Who cares? Who cares? Except, who cares? The fans care. Fans absolutely froth a birthday post. And, Edwin, when was the last time you worked in sports, mate? You can sit there and you can criticize how
an opinion.
Nah, fuck him. I'm off him. You can sit there and you can say, oh, it's so lazy that people aren't putting up like something different for birthdays. Here's 10 different ideas. Yeah, great. Go out and shoot them. Go out and edit fucking 80 birthday posts and then tell me that that's really simple to do, you dickhead.
I think his point is just more be original, and either just stop doing it or do something different.
This is the argument.
But this is where I agree with him, because it's almost like that's the purpose of you as a content creator or like part of the digital team. Like, change it up, be original.
Okay, so here's a scenario for you, right? Like, obviously, there's great ideas you can do for birthday posts. Let's say,
name one. I can't. Okay.
One. Let's take it out of Carlton. Let's do like LeBron James, right? You've got this, all this stuff that you could use for his birthday. Like, you could go out and make this whole video around like delivering a cake made out of tacos to his house for his birthday, right? Yeah. Great. Okay, and then what happens when you've got an absolute like D-lister on your team where there's nothing at all interesting about them? No one knows who they are, but then they're expecting this like high level like bit of content.
No, just don't do it. I don't think you need to match them up. I think
once again, fans love it.
But I think you could treat it like an interview. So if just because you go out and interview or someone had a good moment that they want to talk about on the weekend doesn't mean you got to go talk to the next 7 people on the roster because you did an interview with the other person. I think if you look at it that way.
You could, but it's a bit more personal than an interview. Like, it's their birthday.
What about just an average photo of them off the story?
I mean, it could be a story post. I don't say it has to be a grid post, but also every year, like, we have this debate, and every year I go back and I look through the analytics and I'm like, should we kill the birthday post? And every year it's one of the top performing posts.
This is the biggest thing that I can't wrap my head around. I don't get people that love a birthday post. Who gives a shit?
But again, like, this is where it's one of those
So
things.
funny.
We don't need to, you don't, sometimes you just have to accept things and the stats are there to prove it. Like, you don't need, it's the whole, like, work smarter, not harder. Like, it's an easy win. You just don't need to be that creative for it unless it's like something really cool. Like when a player has a birthday and it's on the same day they've got a press conference and you surprise them with a cake and it's like, this is fun. This is cool. Yeah. And then you're done.
Yeah. No, I get both. I do get both sides. I do think I'm more on Edwin's side of let's just put with the same stuff, but I can't argue with your logic because if they're easy wins and for some reason fans love it, then why wouldn't you do it?
Maybe we need to put it to the fans and be like, why the fuck do you love this?
Get someone the birthday correspondent. Why do you like the post?
Oh, dear. Anyway, that's the controversial call. Let's wrap this up, Michael Barker.
Good controversial call, though. Thanks for your fan input, by the way, both of you, Bradley and Edwin.
If there's anything you want us to argue about, please let us know. Now, I haven't put this in the notes because I want to surprise you. But I also want to get a few feelers out there. We're trying to keep this show fresh, and we're probably at the limits of like where we are in terms of what more we can do. We're trying to get some guests. Obviously, we can do that. But I personally would love to have a live show that also doubles as a bit of a night for all of the Digi crew. We'll say Melbourne, unless you want to travel, but a meetup. So we're trying to gauge some interest as to like who would actually attend that, and we'll put a little social post out just to get a bit. And I reckon if we got like $10 to $15, we might consider running it. But like it's probably rare in this industry that you get to actually hang out with other like-minded creators, unless someone with like a mutual partner or an external puts on an event that you all get to go to. So guess we'll put out some feelers, and if there's enough people, we'll do a bit of a live show, a bit of a panel, and then a bit of a meetup.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's
I've just decided.
Well, you decide what you want. I think it's a good point. I think it's a good point about needing like a purpose, whether it's a live show or maybe it's some form of content speed dating. What do you reckon? Match up one by one, talk, have a topic, have a cue card of what do you think of birthdays? That'd be fun, actually.
We just would be able to invite. No, we could do that. It just wouldn't invite Edwin, would we?
No, but we would, because then someone could argue with him, and then maybe you could like. Yeah, I like that. Those random assortment cards of like content questions of like birthday posts, and then you fight the person opposite you.
I think there's plenty we could do. Let's gauge some interest, and then if there's enough, we could try and push for it before the end of this year or early next year while everything's a bit calm for everyone. Still, obviously, I know that there's A-League and NBL and cricket going on, so we'll try and find a time that works for everyone if there's people interested. And we'd love to meet you all as well.
Yeah, yes, I would. I like Scott.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the show for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Everything you need to know, you already know it, but all the links where you can find them on our socials. Full episode up on YouTube, and listen to the show and previous shows through Spotify, Apple, Google, you name it, we've got it. Barks, anything else from you?
No, nothing for me. Great show, Jules. Have you seen that TikTok? Can we end that on that? Me and Elise have been pissing ourselves. Have you seen the TikTok challenge of people throwing the shuckers in the tank?
No, I haven't.
It's like a trend where basically, so let's say me and you are a couple, and I'm filming like a vlog style photo, and let's say shuckers is not something I never do, but I keep doing it, and it's just the other person's reaction. It's really weird that I find it so funny, but it's great.
Oh, fuck.
Anyway.
Love a shucker. Anyway, Barks, on that note, everyone, love you all. Have a good week. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.